Your dog laughs. Not metaphorically. There is a specific breathy exhalation, measurably different from normal panting, that researchers classify as canine laughter. But the more revealing finding is not that your dog does it. It is when they do it, and what that timing says about the emotional climate you create in the room. If you want to understand what your dog is really telling you, you are in the right place. Most owners have heard it dozens of times and filed it away as just panting. Your dog is running around the yard, wrestling with another dog, bowing down with their front legs flat and their rear end in the air. Their mouth is wide open. There is a rapid, rhythmic breathing, almost breathy, almost vocal, but not quite a bark or a whine. You barely register it. But there is something happening in that sound that is not happening during a normal pant on a hot day. The airflow is different. The shape of the mouth is different. The context is always, without exception, joyful and social. Patricia Simonet, an animal behaviorist at Sierra Nevada College, noticed this distinction and decided to analyze it acoustically. What she found was a forced tonal exhalation, a broadband sound with a flatter frequency profile than regular panting, that dogs produced exclusively in play contexts. It was not random. It was not incidental. It was a signal, and when Simonet's team recorded it and played it back in a shelter environment, dogs who heard it began to play. Dogs who had been pacing reduced their pacing. Dogs who had been barking quieted. They were responding to laughter the way you respond to laughter, with warmth, with openness, with an invitation to join in. Your dog has been trying to share something with you. The question is whether you have been listening. Here is where the science gets uncomfortable, in the best possible way. The dogs who produce the play pant most frequently, in the most varied contexts, with the widest range of play partners, tend to live with specific kinds of owners. Not wealthier owners, not owners with bigger yards. Owners who are emotionally expressive, who allow themselves unguarded moments of silliness, and who respond to their dog's bids for engagement rather than ignoring them. This is not a coincidence. It is neurochemistry. In 2015, a team at Azabu University in Japan, led by Miho Nagasawa, published research in Science showing that when dogs and their owners gaze into each other's eyes, both experience a spike in oxytocin, the same bonding hormone that fires between a mother and a newborn infant during nursing. The feedback loop is mutual. The owner's relaxed emotional openness triggers the dog's oxytocin release, which triggers more engagement, which triggers more oxytocin in the owner. The play pant is a form of that feedback loop made audible. Your dog is not just expressing their own joy. They are extending an invitation into a shared emotional state. Whether that invitation lands depends almost entirely on where you are emotionally when they send it. Not every owner accepts the invitation. Number 1. Patricia Simonet's original recordings were made at a dog park in Spokane, Washington, using a directional microphone and a lot of patience. She captured hundreds of samples of dogs in different emotional states, playing, resting, alert, anxious, and ran spectrographic analysis on all of them. What she found was unambiguous. The play pant had a distinctly different acoustic signature. Regular panting is rhythmically narrow. It follows the dog's breath cycle. The play pant is broadband. It covers more of the frequency spectrum simultaneously, with a forced quality that suggests intentional expressive output. It was not just a faster pant. It was a different sound entirely. When her team played recordings of this sound through speakers in a shelter, the results were immediate and measurable. Shelter dogs, who are chronically stressed, vigilant, and often shut down, reduced their stress behaviors within seconds. Some began play bowing toward the speaker. Others relaxed their posture. The signal crossed the context of a recording device. It crossed the absence of a real dog. That is the hallmark of a genuine communicative signal. It carries meaning even in stripped-down form. Your dog's laughter is not an accident. Number 2. Here's a question worth sitting with. When was the last time you let yourself be openly, unguardedly silly? Researchers studying play behavior in adult humans and their dogs have noticed a consistent pattern. Owners who report high levels of playfulness in themselves, who engage in humor, spontaneous physical play, and nonsensical interactions regularly, have dogs who initiate play more frequently, sustain play longer, and produce the play-pant vocalization more readily. This is the mirror effect. Your dog's emotional vocabulary expands or contracts based on what you model. A dog who lives with a chronically stressed, emotionally flat owner does not stop wanting to play, but they do stop asking as often. The invitations come more rarely. The play pants grow quieter. The bows become tentative. This is not about blame. Dogs are extraordinary adapters. They meet you where you are. But the adaptation has a cost for both of you. The biochemical feedback loop that Nagasawa's oxytocin research documented depends on mutual engagement. One partner going quiet breaks the circuit. The question the research implicitly asks is not whether your dog is playful enough. The question is whether you have given them enough evidence that playfulness is welcome in your home. That is a question about you, not them. If that just made you see your relationship with your pet in a completely different way, hit subscribe. We explore the science of the human-pet bond every week and what it reveals about us. Let's keep going. Number 3. There is a concept in developmental psychology called permission to feel. Children who grow up in households where certain emotions are modeled freely, joy, silliness, spontaneous laughter, develop broader emotional range themselves. Children raised in more emotionally constricted environments learn to keep certain feelings small and quiet. Your dog operates on the same principle. They are not reading your explicit instructions, they are reading your nervous system. And this is where the play pant becomes something more than a cute party trick. It is evidence. A dog who plays loudly, openly, and frequently with their owner is a dog who has received what developmental psychologists call permission. Not permission in words, but permission in atmosphere, in repeated experience, in the accumulated evidence that joy does not create danger. Some owners never let themselves laugh out loud in daily life. Not because they are sad, but because somewhere, a long time ago, unguarded joy started to feel unsafe or embarrassing. They live in their heads, they manage their expressions, and their dogs, who are exquisitely sensitive cortisol readers, absorb that atmosphere and quiet themselves to match. Your dog's play pant is not just a sound. It is a measure of how safe joy feels in your home. That is worth pausing on. Number 4. In 2019, a team of researchers in Sweden, led by Ann-Sophie Sundman, published findings in scientific reports that have become one of the most cited papers in canine behavioral science. They measured cortisol levels, the stress hormone, in both dogs and their owners over time, using hair samples that capture long-term biological history rather than just a single moment. The finding was stark. Dogs and their owners synchronize their stress levels over time. Not in the moment, over months and years. A chronically anxious owner does not just have a stressed dog on a bad day. They have a dog whose baseline biology has slowly shifted toward a higher cortisol floor. The inverse is also true. Owners who carry sustained baseline joy, who laugh easily, play readily, and approach life with genuine lightness tend to have dogs with lower cortisol profiles, more frequent play behavior, and yes, more play panting. This is not small. This is the biological record of your emotional life, written into your dog's fur. The play pant is the sound of a dog whose nervous system has been given evidence, repeated, reliable, biological evidence, that this home is a safe place to be happy. The absence of it may be the same kind of evidence, pointing in the opposite direction. Number 5. The play pant does not just reflect an emotional state. It creates one in the animal who hears it. This is what made Simonette's shelter playback experiment so striking. The dogs who heard the recording had never met the dog who produced it. There was no social history, no relationship, no shared context. Just the sound. And it worked anyway. This means the play pant carries what communication researchers call pragmatic meaning. It does not just describe an internal state and make something happen in the listener. It is an active social tool. Your dog is not just telling you they are happy. They are actively trying to make you happy too. And here is what the research on human-dog joint attention tells us about what happens when that invitation lands. When an owner responds to the play pant, when they laugh back, mirror the loose body posture, get low, initiate contact, both the dog and the owner enter a shared state of elevated positive affect. The neurochemistry of both animals shifts simultaneously. This is what the Nagasawa oxytocin loop looks like when the circuit is fully closed. Most owners have had this experience. They just did not know what they were experiencing. The dog began to play pant. The owner felt something lift in their chest. They smiled without deciding to. They got silly. They felt briefly like themselves. That moment is not trivial. Number 6. And now for the one that matters most. There are days, sometimes weeks, when you are not okay, when the weight of being a functioning adult is just slightly too much, and joy feels like something that belongs to someone else's life. You come home, and your dog meets you at the door. They read you instantly. They know. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, they do something remarkable. They offer you the play pant anyway. They bow, they bounce. They make the breathy laughing sound even when you have not given them any signal that you are ready for it. They are not misreading the room. They know the room. They are deliberately trying to change it. Behavioral researchers studying dog owner affect regulation have described this as the canine repair bid, an unsolicited attempt by the dog to shift the owner's emotional state toward openness and play. It is not random. Dogs are far more likely to initiate this kind of bid when owners are withdrawn, flat, or showing low-level distress signals. Your dog is not asking you to pretend everything is fine. They are extending a biological lifeline, a genuine invitation to briefly vacate the anxious, ruminating, effortful state your nervous system has been running and step into something lighter. Whether you take it is entirely up to you, but your dog will keep offering. That, in the end, is what they do. So here is what you now know. Your dog's laughter is not a random sound. It is not just panting. It is a precisely structured, communicative signal that your dog produces intentionally, directs at you specifically, and uses to actively try to shift both of your emotional states towards something better. And the frequency with which you hear it, or do not, is a remarkably accurate mirror of your own relationship with joy. Not your capacity for joy, which is intact and not in question, but your permission structure around it. Whether you have consciously or not decided that unbothered, unguarded playfulness is something you still have access to. If you hear the play pant often, something in your emotional environment is working. Your dog has enough evidence that joy is welcome. The circuit is closing regularly. That is not nothing. That is a genuinely healthy thing you have built. If you hear it rarely, or you cannot remember the last time your dog play bowed toward you or made that breathy laughing sound, do not hear that as an indictment. Hear it as an invitation. Your dog has not given up on the bid. They have simply learned the timing. They are waiting for a window. The research on canine repair bids is clear. Dogs keep offering. They are extraordinarily patient with the humans they love. All you have to do is say yes one more time than you said no. There is a moment. It happens in almost every relationship with a dog, where you are in the middle of something serious and your dog just decides it is time. They bow. They make the sound. They look at you with that loose, laughing face, and for just a second, everything difficult feels very far away. You always assumed that was about the dog, their cheerfulness, their resilience, their impossibly generous nature. And it is, partly. But now you know, it is also about you. Your dog chose you to make that sound at. Your dog evaluated the evidence of your life together and decided in that moment that you were worth the bid. Not because you were perfectly happy, not because the room was easy, but because somewhere in the accumulated history of your relationship, you said yes enough times that they still believe you might say yes again. That is not a small thing. That is a dog who trusts that you still have access to joy. Now that you know your dog's play pant is a direct reflection of how much emotional permission for joy exists in your home. When did your dog last offer you the play pant, and were you in a place to accept it? Let us know in the comments. New episodes drop every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure you are subscribed to catch the next one. Until then, decode your dog, decode yourself.